We're singing. We're singing. It's time to talk. Beauty and the Bitch.
Welcome back to another episode of Beauty and the Bitch, or actually, as people have been referring to this show on various social media formats and, in whispered conversations in the dark ends of hallways, this is now really should be called the Epic of the Beauty Unleashed. Because I have been unleashed. I mean, I have to take up a whole hour all by myself, and it's so hard when someone is so sweet like me. I mean, I just feel like I don't have enough hot takes. Well, anyway. So, look, Morgan's not here because she tried to unzip the front of her skin dress, I guess, is the way you would describe that. And I'll tell you what, it was horrifying when Morgan tried to unzip the front of her skin dress, but it was not quite as horrifying as the scene in Cats, in which Rebel Wilson successfully unzips her skin dress. Have you seen... This episode is about cats. And I feel I may be traumatized by this movie. It was one of the weirdest things that I've seen. Probably, I would say top 10 weirdest movies I've ever seen, especially taken out of context, like with no knowledge of what Cats is and the history of the show and everything. Yeah, I'm actually profoundly disturbed when I think about it. So we're going to deep dive into Cats today. Morgan would love to be here, but like I said, skin dress. So she can't be here today. But here's a question I have. Now, it's true enough that Rebel Wilson is the only cat, to my knowledge, that we see in the movie Cats who unzips what appears to be her chest and stomach and has both more flesh and a dress underneath. So it begs the question, I think, do all cats in this world created by Cats, the movie 2019, have outfits underneath their outfits? I mean, and also, do they have a second layer? Is this something every cat can do? Can Ian McKellen unzip his old man wear and he has a Speedo on underneath? And if so, why did we only see her do it? Are we to assume that this is some sort of special cat talent? I mean, anyway, I found it very upsetting. Now, Cats came out on December 20th, 2019. I went and saw it on Christmas Day with my mom. It was fun, actually. It was a fine Christmas Day movie. Utterly absurd and ridiculous, but definitely family friendly and whatever. It was good, chill Christmas fare. Now, I think that this movie coming out may be the most important thing that has ever happened on December 20th. I think that this day will go down in infamy. Now, I didn't see it on the day it came out, but that day will go down. So I pulled up some of the most important historical events that happened on December 20th, okay? There aren't very many, first of all. Right off the bat, there's only 5, okay? So we've got a good chance already that Cats is the most important thing that's ever happened on December 20th. Okay, 1522, Suleiman the Magnificent accepts surrender of the surviving Knights of Rhodes, who are allowed to evacuate. They eventually settle in Malta and become known as the Knights of Malta. I mean, yeah, that's important, but girl, no, I don't think so. Who the Magnificent? If she's so magnificent, why don't I know her? And then Malta, I mean, that's cool. Knights of Malta, I'm sure that means something to somebody, but no, so I say that's out. Cats is more important than that. December 20th, 1803. French flag lowered in New Orleans to mark the formal transfer of the Louisiana Purchase from France to the USA for $27 million. Okay, this might be problematic for our Cats most important thing cause because, I mean, the Louisiana Purchase is a pretty big deal. And it was pretty formative for the history of America, the creation of America, and important to America being what she is geographically today, and also perhaps culturally. So, okay, big thing. However, here's my question. French flag lowered in New Orleans to mark the formal transfer. Honey, I don't think this is the date that should be in the history books. I want to know, when were the signatures made? Girl, I know what kind of world we live in. You're trying to tell me that the most important day for the Louisiana Purchase was December 20th, 1803, when they lowered a flag in New Orleans? Yeah, I mean, yes, symbolically perhaps. But I'm just saying, so I say this day is disqualified, or you could choose an alternate day, because it's not, no. That's part of the process. So it doesn't all happen on this one day. 1812, December 20th, Grimm's Fairy Tales by Jacob Grimm and Wilhelm Grimm is first published. That's kind of a big deal. And I have to say also, do I then say every movie based on them and the show Grimm, which is like very loosely based on their creatures and some of the stories, is that also part of how important they are? Because I thought Grimm was pretty good. I mean, I enjoyed it, and it's kind of more forefront in my brain right now than Grimm's fairy tales themselves. And I think, sadly, in the world that we live in, I'm probably not alone. So, 1812, December 20th, they first published this. I'm going to put that in a maybe. I'd say it might be tied with Cats for most important thing that has ever happened on December 20th. 1917, Cheka is formed. Yeah, I don't know her. Soviet State Security Force and forerunner to the KGB under Felix somebody after decree by Lenin. Okay, so... oh, wow, the KGB. Ooh, is Cats more important than the KGB? And also, by extension, 007, I'm going to say, because he goes against the KGB a lot. Of course, I guess you could say really that we can't count James Bond because he's really a totally different thing. And if it hadn't been the KGB who was his enemy, there'd just be another enemy. It could even be the same like nationality. So that doesn't even, no, that actually doesn't. So we're going to say, okay, very important. So I'm a little scared that Cats may not be the most important thing. Okay. 1960, the National Liberation Front, better known as the Viet Cong, is officially formed in South Vietnam. Wow. Okay, formation of Viet Cong, Vietnam War, pretty big deal. But you know what? I'm going to say, again, this is officially. I mean, what was this? Did you raise another flag? I want to know, when did the people start to care? That's what I want to know. So I'm gonna discount that one because they just pick a date when one thing happens, but really it's a huge process that happens over time. And I don't know. It just doesn't, I don't know. You can't have this date, Viet Cong. Okay, so really it's Grimm's Fairy Tales and the formation of the KGB, and then of course Cats itself as most important thing. And I'm going to say, because I care more about Cats than the show Grimm, I'm going to say no. Sorry, Grimm's Fairy Tales, you're out of here. You're done. I'm talking about Cats here. I think I have to admit that the KGB in general is probably even more important than Cats. But you know what? We're going to say Cats is the second most important thing that has ever happened on December 20th. And I think that is a pretty big deal. Now look, I don't want to define Cats as a whole as a guilty pleasure. I don't like that. But let me tell you why, okay? I don't know if you are aware of this factoid about me, but I am a huge fan of T.S. Eliot. In fact, I would say he's probably my favorite poet. And actually, his poetry is what makes up the backbone of Cats. He's got this book, a little book of poetry called Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats. Now, like, I'm not bragging, but I'm looking at my own copy right now, and it's reminding me how literate and sophisticated I am. So I recommend you try to get one for yourself. Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats really started out as letters to his grandchildren, or his godchildren. In the 1930s. And then they were published in 1939. And then there have been various versions. My version, which came out in 1982, has illustrations by Edward Gorey. So, I mean, come on. Fantastic. So this is actually a great book to buy for kids, like young readers. They won't understand everything, but they'll understand the rhythm. And then, of course, poetry fans would love it. I mean, I genuinely love my copy. If someone came into my home and stole my copy, I'm pretty sure they would burst into flame because I think I have put a protective spell on this bad boy because I fucking love this book. Okay, Ooh, girl. Ooh. Okay, so this is a bitch right here. What I'm about to have to tell you. There are a few poems in Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats by T.S. Eliot, my favorite poet. There are a few poems that are kind of racially not acceptable today. Remember, this came out in the 1930s. Growl Tiger's Last Stand and The Awful Battle of Peaks and Follicles. Both contain like really racial slurs. I mean, very stark racial slurs. And look, I'm not really that person who like reads through and is like, oh, that's not quite up to date. Like, no, these are real obvious, girl. It's like use of the N-word in Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn. But I would say those are most people would probably say that those are more earned. Well, I don't know. Anyway, I'm just saying. You might want to go and look what I would do, girl. And what I will do when I buy this book for my nephews, I'll go in with probably either whiteout or a black Sharpie, and I will just whiteout / Sharpie over that racial slur. And when I read it to them, I'll put in a different word every time that rhymes, and I'll see how long it takes them to notice. And great, it's cute. Now I've overcome the racism, and I've now have a new game with my nephews. It's adorable. So who doesn't love that? That's what I would recommend. So look, here's the thing. These poems, they're good. They're good. But, I said T.S. Eliot is my favorite poet. And look, girl, if all he had ever published is Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats, he would not be my favorite poet. I will say that. Okay? I think they're good poems, though, and I'll talk a bit more about them. But, what I really wanted to do is, in case some of you aren't familiar with T.S. Eliot, my favorite poem of his is The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. And it's about the sterility and loneliness of being a single man. It's about a lot of other things, too. But it's my favorite of his poems. Let us go then, you and I, when the evening is spread out against the sky, like a patient etherized upon a table. Remember, this is the same guy who wrote the poems which word for word make up Cats. Let us go through certain half-deserted streets, the muttering retreats of restless nights in one-night cheap hotels and sawdust restaurants with oyster shells, streets that follow like a tedious argument of insidious intent, to lead you to an overwhelming question. Oh, do not ask, what is it? Let us go and make our visit. In the room the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. Girl, don't you even try to tell me that that's not a good poem. I will burn down your house, I will uproot your crops, if you try to tell me that's not a good poem. Oh, Lord. Oh, wait, just one more, just listen to this part. I feel this, girl. No, I am not Prince Hamlet, nor was meant to be. Am an attendant lord, one that will do to swell a progress, start a scene or two, advise the prince, no doubt. An easy tool, differential, glad to be of use, politic, cautious, and meticulous, full of high sentence, but a bit obtuse. At times, indeed, almost ridiculous. Almost, at times, the fool. Girl, don't tell me! Don't you tell me that's not a good poem! Oh, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. I think a lot of people study The Wasteland, either in high school or college. Somehow, I don't know how this has happened, and I wish I could have rectified it in some way, but I have never studied T.S. Eliot in class, except for maybe, I don't even know if that's true necessarily. Somebody introduced me to T.S. Eliot. I think it happened at Governor's School, which is a now defunct program that used to happen in Arkansas, where high school seniors who were academically successful, went and stayed at a college, Hendrix College, for like, I don't know, a month and a half or 2 months. And we majored in things there. And I majored in writing. And I believe that was my introduction to T.S. Eliot and to fucking Angels in America. A gay Fantasia? Get out of here. Get out of here. Man, that was a great program. And if anyone who is listening to my voice can get that program to come back, that was really good for my generation of students. It was a fantastic experience. Anyway, what the fuck was I talking about? Jeez. T.S. Eliot. So that's where I was introduced to T.S. Eliot. But a lot of people study him through The Wasteland. And because I haven't been able to tackle that in a class, I can't get into it. It's his most famous, I would say. Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock is pretty famous in its own right, but I think The Wasteland is more so famous. And look, hey, honey, if Cats wasn't around, no, Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats would probably not be very well known. And I don't think that would be a horrible loss, except I do think loss of the musical would be a loss, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's move on. I think I've beaten that to pieces. Oh, well, here's the thing. That's why I'm saying it's not a guilty pleasure for me. Now, this 2019 movie, I'll get to that. I might define that differently. But Cats, the stage musical, because it's based on these beautiful poems, and because, frankly, especially y'all, if you haven't seen either the 1988 version of Cats that was filmed, went straight to VHS, or perhaps Cats done professionally, don't come at me, I'm just saying, you need to be a good damn dancer to be in Cats. It's a ballet, really. And that's another thing that kind of like, I feel like that didn't come through at all in the 2019 Cats. I'm sure they were good dancers, but I just feel like their artistry was not, I didn't see it. Because when you see Cats on the stage, I mean, it truly is, well, it's already a choreo poem, because it's essentially just his poetry, T.S. Eliot's poetry set to music with movement. And so anyway, what I'm trying to say is, it's as much a ballet, really, or a mixed dance piece, I suppose, as it is a quote-unquote musical. But really, the one song that Andrew Lloyd Webber wrote, well, that's not true. The one versed song with words, Memory, which was also based on a T.S. Eliot poem, by the way, but I'll get to that in a second. But really, it's quite different. Look, most of this musical truly is just the poems. So, with no change or real alteration. So Memory, even though it's still based on work by T.S. Eliot, specifically it's based on Rhapsody on a Windy Night, which is pretty good. It really is as much, I'd say it's more like 50-50 Andrew Lloyd Webber and T.S. Eliot, whereas every other song is, I'd say 95% T.S. Eliot or more. Anyway, Memory, I don't have to tell you, girl, that shit is like popular as hell. I mean, you know Memory. All alone in the moonlight. Has the moon lost her memory? She's smiling alone, girl. Who isn't? That has been recorded over 600 times, which I think is frankly shocking. I mean, it's a good song, and I do like it a lot, but like 600 times, girl? Who needs to? So I told you that this is based on Rhapsody on a Windy Night. This is not a super well-known Eliot poem. I mean, if you know his work, you know it. But, for example, I don't think I've ever seen it in high school poetry compendiums or, I don't know. Maybe y'all got to study it. And if you did, I'm super jealous. Okay, so this is a small excerpt. It's the very end of the poem. The moon has lost her memory. A washed-out smallpox cracks her face. Her hand twists a paper rose that smells of dust and eau de cologne. She is alone with all the old nocturnal smells that cross across her brain. The reminiscence comes of sunless dry geraniums and dust in crevices, smells of chestnuts in the streets and female smells in shuttered rooms, and cigarettes in corridors and cocktail smells in bars. The lamp said, 4 o'clock. Here is the number on the door. Memory. You have the key. The little lamp spreads a ring on the stair. Mount. The bed is open. The toothbrush hangs on the wall. Put your shoes at the door. Sleep. Prepare for life. The last twist of the knife. So, okay, so you can definitely hear memory in there. And there are other things, remark the cat which flattens itself in the gutter. Every street lamp I pass beats like a fatalistic drum. I think in memory it's warning. I mean, I'm saying there are many more differences. I mean, that's a good poem too, girl. Now I want to go back and reread that. What does that mean, the last twist of the knife? I don't even know. Okay, well, anyway, surprise to no one, I want to read more T.S. Eliot poetry. So that's something I think you really do need to consider, though. The beauty of the music, the beauty of the words, the rhythm, the natural rhythm of T.S. Eliot's poetry. I'm sure it came through in the readings, if I did them any justice at all. But he loves a slant rhyme, he loves an odd rhyme, and I feel like that darkness and weirdness is in the stage show, and shit, girl, it's even in the 2019 movie. It's a kind of weirdness that I don't think was effective. It's same with the darkness, I just don't, but it was there, and I think it was there because it's there in the words, personally. I mean, that's just me. Okay, so I just wanted to, before I actually dive deep into cats, continue the epic of the beauty unleashed. I wanted to just do a very quick top 5 of the best parts from Cats the Musical, the 1998 straight to VHS extravaganza. Now, if you have seen this recording of Cats, girl, you know what I mean. This shit is good. It is poppin'. John Partridge is beyond sexy. He plays Rum Tum Tugger. I'll get to him. Don't you worry about that. The dancing's on point. Are the special effects good? No. Who cares? That doesn't matter. The special effects aren't good in the 2019 one either, bitch. I just snapped on myself there a little bit. But, they're not, though. Okay, so you should look this up. It is really besides this newest version, the only recording of Cats out there. If you search for it on Amazon or, various streaming sites, you'll find it somewhere. In fact, I think you can even get it on YouTube, girl. I think that's where I saw it originally. It's really fucking good. And Elaine Page plays Grisabella. She originated the role on Broadway. Holy shit. I think it's the entire original Broadway cast. There might be one or two exceptions. So it's fucking beyond, okay? Okay, number 5 best thing. In general, those dance moves, girl, them's acrobatics, they're too much. They're amazing. They're like Cirque du Soleil level shit. And of course you don't get that in the remake. But it's something that I believe you would get in a quality live show. So in that way, I think it's a lot more like being in the theater. Okay? 4, girl. Ooh, this 1998 version, these people are giving me sex, body. And you know what? Here's the thing. I've heard some people say that this remake is like furry porn or something. Girl, I don't know. I did not think there was any sexual tension in that movie. None. And that's a problem. Cats are like passionate animals, and their sex is notoriously loud and unpleasant to listen to. Which Rum Tum Tugger, John Partridge, does a great job of imitating sexily, frankly, in his song, but whatever. But what I'm saying is, where was the sex appeal? Now, in the 1998 version, look, these people, that these are dancers putting on a show for you. Their bodies are on point, and it's very sexy, I think. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm not coming out as a secret furry, but I do think the 1998 version of Cats, sexy as hell. The 2019 version of Cats, no, 0% sexy. I watched that sitting right beside my mom, and you know what? I didn't feel uncomfortable ever, because there was absolutely no sex in there. None. Okay, number 3. Ooh. Okay, so I've already talked a little bit about Rum Tum Tugger and how I'm absolutely obsessed with him. My number 3 best moment is when Jacob Brent, Magical Mr. Mistopheles, and John Partridge as Rum Tum Tugger in Magical Mr. Mistopheles, in general, have a very powerful 80s gay energy. It is nurturing to my soul. Mr. Mistopheles, Jacob Brent, is just jumping around, doing crazy tricks. I mean, splits and kicks and oohs and ahs and gagas, and he's a power bottom for days. Don't even get me started. I mean, I don't know the man. I'm sure he may have his own life, but based upon what life has taught me so far, that boy's a power bottom. And then you've got John Partridge looking like a fucking, I don't even know, Olympic swimmer, or like he's got that lean body. He's up there, and you know, the entire musical, Mr. Mistopheles has been like ignoring Rum Tum Tugger and putting him down in little slight ways. But then, come to find out, Rum Tum Tugger fucking loves Mr. Mistopheles. And girl, you could say he loves him like a brother. I mean, we can have this Achilles conversation about whether men can love each other and it not be sexual. Of course it can be. Cats, I assume, is the same. But I'm saying it feels sexual in this version. And I like that. There was nothing approaching even a whisper of that in the 2019. So there's another gay narrative destroyed. Oh, God. It's really powerful, though. Obvious gay ship. Love them together. My number 2 is Rum Tum Tugger. I don't have to tell you why. He was so... But let me do say this, though. Jason Derulo, look, I don't know this man, really. I do not listen to his music, especially, particularly. I do think he is a good-looking man. I do not think that Cat's makeup did him any favors. It was not a look for him. I am so sorry. Now, I did hear that they had to edit out his bulge because he had such a huge bulge that it was noticeable in the cat suit. You know what? I can see why they edited that out. Maybe if he had had a giant bulge while being essentially forgettable, I might not think him forgettable. But as it was, he had no bulge. He was forgettable. He wasn't sexy. I don't care who he is. And he didn't look good in the makeup. So, for those reasons, I think they should have just cast John Partridge. I don't even know where he is or what he's doing. For all I know, he's lost both of his legs in Korea. That's not something to joke about. Oh, and number 1. Well, I had to look at my notes, and that's embarrassing. I shouldn't have had to, because the number 1 is Elaine Paige singing Memory, most specifically Touch Me, It's So Easy to Leave Me, which I think... okay, so I'm getting into the movie, the remake. Now, I think that Jennifer Hudson was good. I do think she was good. I like Jennifer Hudson a lot, and I've loved her in other movie musicals. And in fact, I even think she's well cast for this role. She's got the voice for it, and she's a great actress. But honey, girl, baby, darling, why was her nose constantly runny? Look, I know she used to be Grisabella the Glamour Cat, and now she's Grisabella the Glamour Cat, but living in a meth camp. Like, I get that. But, like, just large amounts of snot, you know, just constantly. And I don't know, I just didn't, it was too much for me. Plus she looked crazy as hell, but they all did, so I mean, there's nothing there. What I'm trying to say is I love her, love Jennifer Hudson, and I think in a different movie it would have been a closer contest between her and Elaine Paige, but as it is, no. When Elaine Paige throws her arms back and cries out, "Touch me, it's so easy to leave me," it's amazing. Wouldn't it be amazing if I could just hit those notes right now? I can't. I mean, maybe I could, but I'm not going to try. Oh, okay, so look. This movie, girl, it'll be incredible as a midnight movie. Like Rocky Horror, I could see it would be great. You sing along, and you've got this mocking sort of interactional thing going on. There are costumes. Because this movie needs to be made fun of, because this movie looks horrible. Like unsettling, uncanny valley. But you know what? Is this not honestly perfect for the time and place? The threat of worldwide destruction, literal worldwide destruction, well, for humanity anyway, extremely rapid technological evolution, robots and automation and various forms of invention, plus the constant threat of nuclear war. Generations of people have grown up, lived, and died with massive looming fears. And, this extraction of beauty and infusion of bizarro realism that is center stage in this Cats remake. I mean, it's so fucking weird looking, y'all. I can't. This extraction of beauty and infusion of bizarro realism captures our current moment worldwide, including and especially in the United States. So, do I think it was good? No. There were good performances within it, some of which I will now mention. There were horrible performances in it, but I think it's appropriate for the time. I think it's indicative of the epic. That being said, I love Jennifer Hudson. I love Idris Elba. I love Dame Judi Dench. And I love Ian McKellen. It's a great fucking cast. Taylor Swift is there. I don't care. But mostly, I do love the cast. Okay? I will say Idris Elba looked a little weird, especially once he took his coat and his sunglasses off. I was talking to Sarah Pants about this. I know she agrees with me. He looked a little strange as a cat. He's great. He's still sexy. Not as sexy as I would have imagined he would be. But he was sexy. And anyway, I mean, that character doesn't even need to be sexy. He's supposed to be kind of gross. I mean, yeah, he has a bit of sex appeal. But look, they're all dancers in every version except this one. They're all dancers wearing skin-tight leotards, crawling all around the stage and rubbing up against each other. So, I mean, yes, if that's where your mind is at, it's kind of sexy. I mean, oh God, I punched the wall. I mean, it's kind of sexy. I'm saying Idris Elba wasn't very. That's all I'm saying. Now, that being said, this portion is called That Being Said. That being said, I don't want any more Tom Hooper musicals. That's who directed this. I'm done. I'm over it. I'm finished. I'm out. Goodbye. You can send me a check or you can pick up the tab. I'm done. Les Mis is the other one he did. It was okay. But some similar problems really come to the fore. His casting, I think, is extremely iffy. I thought what's-his-face, Russell Crowe, as Javert in Les Mis, was horrible. Primarily because he's got a fine voice, but you have to have an exceptional voice for Javert. And he did not have it. It was wretched. There were some other weird castings, too, in Les Mis. So, you know what? I see that the apple does not fall far from the director who doesn't know how to cast. And look, I'm cool with Taylor Swift, just for the record, and I thought her little cameo song was fine. I think that was written for this movie. Maybe I'm wrong, but I've been seeing lots of positive critical feedback about her, and I'm happy for that. That's not something that upsets me, but I will say that I thought she was extremely forgettable. And so that's where I stand. I mean, I like her music and whatever, but... okay, and the Rebel Wilson song, that was in... I was talking about this at the very beginning of the episode. Girl, I think that was the worst part of the movie, in my opinion. The weird unzipping her body thing, very upsetting. Oh my God, the CGI on the dancing cockroaches and dancing mice was... really laughably bad. And look, could I do better? No. But I assume millions of dollars were paid and lots of hours of work were supposedly put in, but girl, I don't know what they were doing. Working on gray space, I guess. The Rebel Wilson song, it's Jenny Anydots is the name of the cat she plays, is an atrocity that I feel lucky to have just survived, frankly. So the VFX was done for this movie, the special effects, was done by MPC Vancouver, who also motherfucking did the special effects for Sonic. So, or actually, no, they're redoing the special effects for Sonic. So that's hopeful. I mean, anyone who was really holding their breath that this movie would be any good, especially after seeing that first atrocious trailer for Sonic, should know better. Anyway, it's a Sonic movie, girl. I mean, we're not talking high art here. I mean, I'm not saying someone couldn't make it high art, but I do think pretty much anyone who's being honest would say that would be a surprise. That would be a shock if it was the great next American novel, somehow. Anyway, my point is, that movie is going to be terrible, just like this movie was terrible, and fucking MPC Vancouver, worst part of Vancouver, I've been to Vancouver many times, beautiful place. They don't deserve to live there. Okay. And then, you may have heard this, because I think it was, like, pretty big news, but they modified the release of Cats. So they sent along improved special effects on December 22nd, 2 days after it premiered. And this is unheard of, okay? Movies don't do this. They don't send out upgrades or patches. This makes you feel like movie theaters are a fucking Bethesda game, girl. And they barely make the game work in the first place. They have a great idea, but barely make it work. Tons of bugs. And then they expect you to fix it, or the community to fix it, or eventually they may send out a patch. But you just assume that the movie or the game is not really done if you buy it on the day it comes out. That's just not the way they play. It would be nice if they did design that way, but they don't. And I didn't know that movies were like Bethesda games, honey, where you could send along a fucking patch to cover up. I think there's a scene where Dame Judi Dench is wearing her wedding ring as a cat. And you know that you have the later version, the modified version, if she's not wearing that ring. It's because they covered it. Anyway, I'm just saying that's weird as fuck, honey, to send along a patch for a fucking movie. A blockbuster, no less. Dame Judi Dench is in this movie, you people. You monsters. How dare you patch a movie in which she stars? Oh, Lord. Okay, and so Universal has already pulled Cats from its for-your consideration page. They did that on the 27th of December. So, I mean, Cats, it's a bomb. It's an uncontested bomb. It's a freakish, weirdo bomb. And you know what? It deserves to be a bomb. It also deserves to be a cult classic, though, and I do think that we're going to see it become that. Of course, I can't tell the future. I can barely remember the past, and I don't know what I'm doing right now, so, you know. Listen to me at your peril. So, I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say about Cats is, look, my mom and I went, we had fun. I do believe I shed a tear when Jennifer Hudson sang the climax of Memory. I giggled a few times. I was pretty thoroughly entranced by the awfulness. And I would love to be able to sing along with it and throw popcorn at the screen and ask Judi Dench if she's married and, you know, talk back. And it would just be such a good experience as a midnight movie. Just having to sit there and suffer through it sometimes was not a good experience. And I hate that Mr. Mistopheles and Rum Tum Tugger are not gay lovers, or at least I can't even ship them that way. And they gave Monkstrap a larger part. I'm not even going to nerd out about that, just in case anyone who hasn't seen the movie is still listening. I'm not going to nerd out about Monkstrap. I'm just saying, it wasn't very good, but I think it would be good if I had, like, 3 gin and tonics in me. I think I would really fucking love it. Anyway, we'll see. Okay, so, look, y'all, I mean, here's what I want you to do. First, I want you to send prayers and salutations to poor Morgie, because, as I said, she tried to unzip her skin, and it's been quite a trial for her family and loved ones. And it turns out that only Rebel Wilson can do that, and no one knows how, and that's why I tried to explain to Morgie, but, you know, she's stubborn. She had an idea in her head, and she just unzipped her self. So, hopefully she'll be back at some point in the near future. But in the meantime, I do have a plug for this week. And that plug actually is Cats. Go see it in theaters. Look, if you can go to an Alamo theater and drink while you watch it, that's all the better. If you want to, you know, do your little smoky smoke or do your drug of choice or whatever it is you do and go in and watch it, I'm not saying you should do that or even condoning it, but I think some people will do it and I think they'll have a good time. And go see this shit before, because it's weird and you want to see it. And it's very memorable. Go with someone you love, because you're going to remember this for a long time. And you don't want to remember some asshole who you don't even really enjoy in this memory. Like, it's a top tier memory. Okay. Yeah, and so otherwise, you can rate and subscribe. If you give us a 5-star rating, it actually really helps us, because then iTunes, or whatever it's called these days, looks at it and decides if and when they should show it in any of the searches and rankings. If it doesn't have, the podcast that is, enough rankings, it will never get shown. So please do rank the pod. 5 stars is appreciated. 4 stars is okay. 3 stars gets your house burned down, and I mean that this time. No one's ever given us a 3-star review. Don't you be the first. Not everybody likes someone who's a pioneer. Pioneers are not often very pleasant people. I mean, okay, to be fair, and I should be fair, I don't know any pioneers, but I'm just saying they always look very hard-bitten, it's a rough life being a pioneer. So, what the fuck? How did I get there? Somebody help me. So rate our pod, subscribe if you haven't. We have a Facebook fan page. Search for Beauty and the Bitch on Facebook. Every single episode, except for a few, of our podcast, are uploaded to YouTube. And so you can listen to them there. And you can also check us out on WordPress at B&Bcast. You can just search Beauty and the Bitch on WordPress. And we have an RSS feed that allows you to listen to every single episode right there on the blog. So really, I don't want to hear that you don't know how to listen to that, because 1, it's obviously not true. You're listening right now. Hello, goodbye. And 2, there are multiple ways that you can listen. But I'm not trying to browbeat you. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I am just literally creating a straw man and then destroying it, which is very satisfying. I can see why people do it so often in arguments. Very, very satisfying. Okay, go enjoy the travesty of cats. Have a good 2020. Don't worry about Morgan. She'll be out of the hospital in a few years. And, bye!